G'day there guys, the voice that lulls you to sleep here, back at it again with another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now if you love me like I love you, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a like on the video, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good content. Posted by user Throwaway929300. Titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to split my inheritance with my siblings? Now, I'll try to summarize as much as possible. I, female 19, have an estranged grandpa, more or less. He's my dad's father, but my dad hardly had a relationship with him. I have two other siblings, one younger, who's 13, and one older, who's 26. My grandma divorced my grandpa when my dad was only 10, so he lived with my grandma his whole life in a different state and didn't see him. When he got older, he saw a little more, and my grandpa started coming around a little bit more as well. He would stay for a week at a time and then go home. He was an old, bitter man, to be honest. He never got remarried and lived his whole life in his coastal town with the same friends he'd had his whole life. He wasn't pleasant to be around and could hold grudges longer than anyone I've ever met. But regardless of this, he was filthy rich. He owned a successful business that he sold for $1 million. He retired after selling, but his house sits on an island, as well as the biggest piece of land on the island, so it sold for well over $3 million. I was never close with my grandpa, but I took after his sister, who is a registered nurse, and he adores her. He always told me that he was proud to see me follow in her footsteps. He died a few months ago. Since then, my family has been torn apart. He left everything to me. He essentially liquidated all of his assets, and it ended up being close to $8 million. I was shocked. I didn't and still don't know what to do with the money, but I'm going to save it. My dad and stepmom as well as my siblings are hounding me to split the money with them. I just can't do it. My dad is an alcoholic who never said anything nice about his dad. Despite him being bitter, my grandpa actually bought my dad a $300,000 house. My dad would 100% drink away any money given to him. As far as my siblings, my brother has full financial support from my grandma, as he is the favorite and he's very wasteful and ungrateful. He never talks to me and always is very mean to me when he does. My little sister is the only person I've actually considered. She's very young, and that's really the only thing stopping me. Her mum is money-oriented and would take the money from her. So I'm waiting until she turns 18, and I offered to pay for her college. But now my family is telling me I'm unfair, and the money doesn't belong to me, and I'm not deserving of it. That I am too young, and I'll waste it on cars and clothes. I don't agree, and now they're all threatening to cut me off and never speak to me, or even sue me if I don't give them all a chunk of the money. I don't know what to do, and I'm buckling under pressure here. I've already had 2 police officers out to my house because my dad is claiming I stole the money from him. Everything was through an attorney. I know I did nothing wrong legally, but morally? I don't know. So, am I the a-hole? Obviously you've done nothing wrong legally, but if you are to be believed, then these people won't make good use of the money in your eyes. I'm sure that could be different for different people in different situations. But it sounds like none of these people got along with your grandfather, and your little sister is the only genuine option we've got going here, because the rest of the people saw your grandfather more as a cash cow than a person. So personally, I don't blame you for withholding the money and keeping it for yourself. I don't think you're an a-hole for that, but they're going to think differently of you in their eyes, and I don't know how that family situation will turn out for you. But yeah, not the a-hole. Update. Am I the a-hole for refusing to split my inheritance with my siblings? First off, thank you to everyone for the advice, links, etc. It was greatly appreciated. It's been almost a month since my post, so I figured I'd try to update and clarify a few things. 1. My family and I have tried reaching out to my father to get him help. He has declined. Giving him money or even bribing him with money to get help wouldn't work like some of you suggested. It's already been tested literally not even 3 months ago. 2. My brother is fully supported by my grandparents despite being almost 30, and they have never done anything close to that for me. Therefore, I didn't feel it was necessary to give my brother anything, as he had a very bad relationship with my grandpa and only came around when he died. 3. My mother wasn't included in the story because I didn't think it was necessary. She has worked 3 jobs her whole life to support my brother and I because my dad was negligent and threatened her, so she never got child support. She's always supported us and provided for us, even though my dad has always made double the amount she has. 4. I didn't ask for his money. I didn't have any previous knowledge I was even in the will, and I was upset when he passed because we had always been a bit closer than him and the rest of my siblings/family. And 5. My grandfather bought my dad a very nice house. He didn't have to, but he did. My dad never said thank you. He doesn't keep it clean and doesn't take care of it. Simply, he doesn't deserve the money after everything that's been given and done for him. With all of that being said, here is what I've chosen to do. I set up an account for my little sister with enough money for a 4 to 6 year degree, a car, and a down payment on a house. I donated some of it to charity, bought myself a new car, and put the rest of it away into CDs that I can't touch for another 4 years unless I pay fees to withdraw the money. I plan to renew these accounts every few years or until I absolutely need it. Again, thank you to everyone. I was scared, lost, and overwhelmed. I couldn't have done this without all the support and advice that I was given. Posted by user NoirXOS, titled, Would I be the a-hole if I abandoned my roommates who depend on me for living? I'm a college student, and so are my roommates. We're all 18-year-old guys, and we study in the same university. They aren't a-holes, but they aren't good in dealing with crap related to their house. They hardly clean. There are many times when they leave plates and kitchen utensils unwashed throughout the night. They sleep very late and wake up somewhere between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. They also screw up the oven so many times whenever they cook. The entire oven is black due to how much liquids and dropped food from used pots being burned after many years. I've cleaned and restored the oven several times, but working on cleaning usually wastes 3 steel wools, and it takes around 45 minutes of hard work of rubbing and cleaning. That's what she said. Yesterday, I just cleaned my own pots, which they used without my permission. It also wasted a steel wool for me, and they used it to cook rice, and some of it got sticky. My pot is no longer shiny. It seems they forgot to let some air in when they were cooking, and it got fizzed. I don't know the word, and it got the pot dirty. They also use my kettle and rely on it. They ask me to use many of my consumables, food, spices, etc. when they cook. If I left them, it'll cause a lot of changes. It will probably screw them up, not having someone clean after them. Would I be the a-hole if I abandoned them? See, I want to think of why they think they'd be an a-hole. And I guess they feel indebted to these people because they're friends, but that logic just doesn't read for me, it doesn't track. I get feeling guilty about putting them in a situation like that, but they're not going to grow unless you make a change in their life like this. I guess they're just making this post to rid themselves of the guilt, because they probably think definitely I'd be an asshole. They'd message me later on with like, why did you leave us? God, we've made such a mess of our lives. I can understand that, it's just anxiety. So absolutely no, they wouldn't be the a-hole if they abandoned them. It's not the term to use, I guess. They're just moving on from people that are using them. So no, I don't think so. Not the a-hole. It will probably screw them up. It will probably screw them the right way round. They rely on you because you do everything for them, and they'll learn to do dishes pretty quickly when they need clean dishes. As a former 18-year-old, I used to reuse the dirty dishes. Oh, that's absolutely disgusting. What did you think when you did it? P.S. I'm not shaming you for this, I'm just curious. Not that disgusting, especially if you've just had, let's say, a slice of pizza that you've heated on a plate. Well, that plate is probably pristine, maybe a crumb or two, and if I happen to need another plate while the pizza plate is ready nearby, why not? It saves water, I guess, and doesn't pose any immediate health risks in this scenario. Not the a-hole. They're slovenly. There is a bit messy, and then there's what you describe. As long as you're not breaking the lease or other legal agreements, just ditch 'em. There is a chance it'll snap them into a sense of reality, or the messy house will eventually have all the filth combined and evolve into a sentient being and eat the town. One or the other. OP says, holy crap, I'm a protector then. I'm planning to get an apartment for myself alone. I will no longer live with other humans anymore. Non-family members to be specific. At least you'll be happy. But yeah, they're either completely lazy or just have no idea. It might come to them one day that having a clean place is actually nice. Go find your happy place. It's so much better not having to clean up after others. I have kids. Oh no. Recently, I just asked my mother, how could you raise me? Not the a-hole, but also make them buy a can of Ovenoff, the one in the yellow can, and spray the crap out of your oven and leave it on overnight. Use a wet steel wool to scrub the crap off, then wipe with a towel. Ovenoff is a lifesaver for situations like that. It'll take all of that off in about 5 minutes. But it's very strong, so try to make sure everyone with asthma or respiratory issues stays out of the kitchen. Not the a-hole. You are not their mother, but best is perhaps to talk to them about it. I cannot read anything related to that in your post. I wouldn't fuss personally. For a pot and pan to no longer be shiny, it's fine to see things are being used. Have you talked to them at all before I continue writing in my mind? OP says, I did, and they said they will clean. They are the ones who said that each person has to clean after himself, but seeing a huge number of crap being left dirty drives me insane and stressed. When I was a kid, I lived a clean lifestyle. Update, would I be the a-hole if I abandoned my roommates who depend on me? Nobody asked for an update, but I think you guys would be interested in an update. I moved to a new apartment. I bought one, that is. I can now live in peace and comfort at the cost of their friendship. It caused them a lot of damage, especially during this pandemic. The rest of the apartment we were living in was divided equally between each of us, until I left them, making them deal with the rent without me. It ticked them off, but that wasn't the only reason they started to hate me. The landlord came. She saw the stove, and my oh my, how mad she got. Initially, my roommates were saying it's everyone's fault. I defensively objected with them. I showed a solid proof to the landlord that I was doing my part of cleaning. I did so by preparing from them by keeping track and saying the history of what I was doing by sending photos of before and after cleaning the oven and sending them to my mother. It kept track of dates, hence it was a solid proof, and I'm no longer to be blamed. My roommates, however, the landlord scolded the frick out of them while I was just there watching them silently. They couldn't throw some of the blame on me anymore, leaving them desperate. It escalated so badly, the landlord was going to kick them out, so I intervened. I convinced her to give them a second chance. She agreed on the condition if they restored the stove back to life, they shall stay in the apartment. I left a lot of hatred on my roommates for not being in their situations. They are now stuck in the apartment. The country my roommates came from doesn't have opened airports, hence they are stuck in the apartment with higher rent. They are not in a situation to move. I gotta say, they already know that I was planning to move a month ago. Don't feel bad for them, they'll live. Hell, they might even learn something from this. And after all, isn't that what university is all about? Anyway, don't let them make you feel guilty. Nothing about the trouble they're in has anything to do with you. They've got themselves into this mess. All you did was make sure they didn't take you with them. OP says, there is a lot of weight lifted after I left them. I can finally come back home without seeing used utensils. You did everything right. Good for you for standing up for yourself. At the end of the day, they have to learn to take responsibility for their actions, consequences and all. That is what being an adult is. Enjoy your space and being able to move on from this. Posted by user Girl with Internet. Titled, would I be the a-hole for not telling a guy I've been dating for a month that I'm having an artificial insemination to be a single mother? Prior to lockdown, I had decided to be a single mother by choice. The journey to accepting this has taken 2 years and included counseling and a very thorough plan to ensure I could do this alone. I was happy with my decision, and I was at a good place in life where I realized my desire to be a mother was stronger than looking for a partner, which may or may not happen, and with my fertility declining, I chose to go down this path as a solo woman. Right before I was due to have artificial insemination with donor sperm, the pandemic hit, and treatments were cancelled. There was no timeline for when things may reopen. For a few days, I was devastated as I was so mentally prepared for this, and then I picked myself up and decided to park my plan. After all, I didn't have a choice. I downloaded a dating app out of curiosity and figured that I could still chat to guys and see what happened, without any expectation really. So I've been talking with a guy, let's call him G, and it's only been a month, so very early stage. However, we've met up twice, with a third meeting planned, spoken many times on the phone, and I got a really good feeling from him. For the first time in years, quite frankly, I feel emotionally connected with a man, and it feels completely natural and promising. During this time, my clinic called me to say they've had approval to open, and do I wish to go ahead this month with my treatment? I want to be a mother more than ever, so I said yes, and I'm now on medication with my appointment set for next week. While there is no guarantee that I'll get pregnant on the first go, I have a conflict in my mind about informing G of my plan. On the one hand, it's such an early stage of our romance, without yet being anything committed, that I feel like I'm bringing something up prematurely. On the other hand, I wonder what may happen as time goes on. Am I just delaying the inevitable? Is it deceptive of me to not inform him of something so fundamental in my life? A friend told me that I'd sabotage a potential relationship with him by telling him of this plan right now, and that a man who is really into me will accept me even if I'm pregnant, and that more time is needed for him to really get to know me. But in my mind, I'm wondering if it'll piss him off by suddenly saying, "Hey, I'm pregnant by the way." We've spoken loosely about wanting kids in the future, so I know he'd like a family, but it was a brief passing comment. I'm also not willing to wait to get into a long-term relationship, and we are far too early on to be thinking about a family together. Would I be the a-hole for keeping quiet about the plan for now? Yeah, why would you keep that quiet? I can still see where you're coming from, but it doesn't feel like OP is looking at the guy's perspective on this one. Wouldn't you want to know that that's something that's going to happen? You're going to be dating her anyway, and she's going to be pregnant. Like, a million things come to mind in that situation. I feel like just going into the future, it'd be something you'd like to know and have, a discussion about. Not just have it sprung upon you one day. Oh yeah, I just want to be a single mum and I'm going to be pregnant from artificial insemination. I know we're getting along really well, but I didn't feel like I needed to tell you. I hope you're not mad at me. Like, that's something we want to avoid later on down the track. Just coming from my perspective, I would like to know if I was in his shoes, and then we'll go from there. So yes, you're the a-hole. Sorry, but you're the a-hole. This is very important information that you should share so he can make a decision as to whether they want to build a relationship with you. Before it was just you. Now you are involving another person who honestly you really don't need at all if your primary goal is to just have a child. You should let him know while it's still early in the process and he's not that attached. Waiting would be trapping them. Also, just want to add to this, OP's friend is giving terrible advice. If he's really into her, he'll accept her even if she's not pregnant? Hard no. This guy has known her for a month. Her getting pregnant without explanation is going to be nothing but red flags, and I don't know many guys that would stick around for that. So glad I'm not the only one that thought this. It's so weird to me to expect a guy to be okay with a girl he's starting dating just suddenly becoming pregnant. I have a hard time picturing anyone I know being fine with that. OP says, "Thank you for validating my thoughts. I never expected to be in this situation. I'm going to tell him face to face in the next day or two." Of course, you would be the a-hole, unless you've made it perfectly clear to him that he's just a casual hookup and you have no future plans with him. All of the above screams out like obviously you would be the a-hole if you withhold that info now and just dump it on him later. You would be the a-hole. This is a huge thing. By hiding such a potential deal breaker, you're essentially telling that guy that you don't value his time, and the fact that he might develop feelings for you only to have to break up. Am I just delaying the inevitable? Yes. Is it deceptive of me not to inform him of something so fundamental in my life? No. It's still early, but the nature of the situation, impossible to hide pregnancy, and timing is such that I'd still tell him if I were you. A friend told me that I'd sabotage a potential relationship with him by telling him of this plan right now. It'd be even worse if you wait. It's better to end something before it even starts than to have to deal with an actual breakup. A man who is really into me will accept me even if I'm pregnant. Don't listen to that friend. She's an idiot. Pregnancy makes the vast majority of men run for the hills if it wasn't caused by them. It has nothing to do with how much they like you. You don't judge people just based on the content of their character when it comes to dating, but also based on their life situation. Pregnancy and kids are a game changer. And more time is needed for him to really get to know me. See, now that's deceptive. It's cool to wait in order to make sure that he's a decent person that you want to keep seeing, and only then decide to trust him with something like this. But it's not cool to wait so that he develops feelings and be less likely to bolt. I didn't think of that. Jeez, that's a very good point. Update. A month ago, I was told I would be the a-hole for not telling a date about my plans to be a single mother. So I told him. A month ago, I asked if I would be the a-hole for not telling a guy I'd only started dating that I had plans to become a single mother. I was scared I'd lose him, but also felt I would be deceiving him by not telling him, thus making the investment in our relationship unfair. The comments were pretty much unanimous in that I'm an a-hole, and I needed to tell him, and this validated my decision to go forth and be honest, as nervous as I was. I explained my situation about taking 2 years to come to this decision, how my fertility clinic had shut due to the pandemic, which is why I had gone back onto dating apps. I explained how my clinic had reopened after meeting him, and how important it was to me to continue in my journey to become a mother. I knew this was baggage he hadn't expected, and that there was every chance he would step away from the situation. Well, he didn't. We are now in a committed relationship, and he's been supporting me in my journey. I have had 2 unsuccessful artificial inseminations with donor sperm, which was my original plan, and we've spoken about having a child together. As early on as it may seem, he told me my honesty made him consider his own future and how he really wants a family someday, and how he has admiration for me being honest about my situation, and how he wants to help me fulfill my desires to be a mother, whether with him or with donor sperm. Either way, he wants to be a part of my life. I wanted to provide this update as a positive outcome has come of being labeled an a-hole, and it pushed me to do the right thing, which in turn has meant that I have the most understanding and accepting boyfriend. Had I kept this information from him, it would have played on my conscience, as well as most likely have caused him to not trust me. So thank you, smiley face. Edit. Gosh, I didn't think this post would blow up in this way. Thanks for the lovely words of support, and also those of you who have taken the time to provide food for thought of co-parenting and step-parenting. This is new territory for me, and I don't know anyone else in my day-to-day life who has been in this situation. So it's valuable for me to hear your views and gain new perspectives. Thank you, kind Reddit community. You're in a committed relationship and talking about trying to conceive a child with someone you've known for 2 months? More power to you, but the best I can do here is urge caution and a judicious application of the brakes. You are still in the new relationship energy phase of this thing with this guy, the infatuation phase. That's a wonderful, heady place to be, but no matter how committed it feels, it's not a stable place from which to be making life-altering decisions. Good luck to you. They say, to clarify, which wasn't in the post, I bought 3 rounds of IUI, and 2 have been unsuccessful. I plan to continue with my final round before making a decision about the future. This could mean IVF. higher success rates, and almost the same cost as IUI, which is less invasive but less successful. Or thinking about parenthood with this man. The latter will involve much more consideration as it's a big investment. Using donor sperm means I am the only legal guardian, but doing it with someone naturally means they have every right to the child as I do. In other words, I agree with you. Edit: imminent parenthood with this man, either from the start, or if not now, then down the line once I have known him even better. Huh, smart. I hadn't thought of that route. My understanding is that basically you don't want somebody else having control over your choices. Nice. And they reply, only because of where I am in my life. If I were younger and in a loving long-term relationship, I would trust having a child with that person, as I do believe it's easier and better to do things the traditional way, if it's an option. In my case, it's not. Alright guys, that's where I'm going to end today's video. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something that you didn't know before. If you haven't already, please do feel free to click that like button, as it really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already and you love today's video, please feel free to subscribe. I would love it a lot. Also, big shout out to all my Patreon members and channel subscribers. You guys are all up on the screen right now. I love you. I love your faces. Also, I love seeing you guys all chatting down below in the comments. It brightens my day to see the stories that you guys share and just the kind words you guys always have for my videos, as well as everyone else in the videos. I love you too. But honestly, your ongoing support means the world to me, and I just love it so much that you guys are able to support a career for myself that I invest so much time into. And you guys honestly motivate me to work harder each and every day to put more love into the videos for you guys. If you guys have watched this far in the video and you haven't already subscribed on Patreon or become a channel member, that's cool, you don't have to, but there are links down below. You can donate any amount of money, pledge that any month, cancel whenever. I'm completely cool with it. It's just there for you to support me if you'd like to go the extra mile. And I'll go the extra mile for you guys by putting out new amazing content every single day. With that said guys, I really hope you have a good day, night, sleep, bath, time at work, whatever you're up to today. This has been Markee. I'll see you in the next amazing video. Bye.